So over the holidays, I was speaking with my cousin who's in her early 80s, and she was expressing frustration with Gmail. And when I asked her what the frustration was, she said, it keeps putting text in for me, and it's not the words I want to use, and I don't know how to get it out. And it made me realize that what she was struggling with was the predictive text capability that Gmail has. And for a lot of folks, they don't like that because they're not sure if they can get it out of there. Can they change it? So why don't we talk and showcase right now how to get rid of that in Gmail, and as a bonus, let's talk about how we can get rid of that in Word as well. So let's take a look. And there's my Gmail, and where I want to focus your attention is on the top right of the screen where you have the settings icon, that little gear. And in fact, it's something you really should know, that whenever you see that gear on a website or on an application such as this, usually a lot of the settings you can customize tend to live beneath there. So we click it. We're going to then select See All Settings. It used to be go right here, but of course there's an extra step because there's so much that it can do. And now we have this overwhelming amount of settings that we can deal with. But here's where we need to be. In the General tab, which is the first one that defaults, we're going to scroll down and we're going to see two different options. One that's going to say autocorrect if you don't want Gmail to autocorrect your text. And the one that I think was the most frustrating to my cousin, Smart Compose. This is where it is making predictions. I happen to like it, but a lot of people don't. And so what you need to do is then click on the off on both of these. Now, I'm actually going to move it back to on after I get done with this. As I said, I do like it. But you also have to remember at the very bottom of the page that you need to save the changes, because if you don't do that, those changes are going to be non-existent. It's going to be right back to where it was. So you make those two changes. Let's go back up there just to see them. Autocorrect, we want to turn it off if you don't want it there. And writing suggestions, you want to turn it off. And then you want to hit Save Changes, and that should take care of that in Gmail. Now, what about Word? So let's go into a Word document because that does it as well. And here's a document I've been working on with some cool Gmail operators that I've been talking about to help people out. But it's even more difficult to find a lot of the nuance in Word. But let's just take a quick dive here. We're in a document. We go over to the File menu on the top left of the screen. And then we choose at the very bottom left of that vertical navigation bar the word Options. And of course that's going to take us into 14 more screens. I know, it's frustrating, but work with me on this one. So from the options, where there's a ton of customization there, we're going to go to Advanced. And remember, gang, you only need to do this one time. Once you've turned it off, that should not rear its ugly head again, with the exception as to when Microsoft decides to give you an update, but that's another story. So we click Advanced, and from Advanced, we look down just a little ways, and there are two different options here. There is Show Text Predictions while typing. This is the one that frustrates most people. So turn that off. You'll need to, of course, hit OK. I do not believe there's a save on this page. That's why people get confused with Google, that they think they've made the change, but then it just reverts back to where it was. But there's also Show Autocomplete Suggestions. And while I don't suggest that people turn this off, it is something that you need to dive even deeper if you want to figure out what words are going to be auto-suggested. Oftentimes it's typos, but it might be abbreviations that you want to spell completely out. Where's that, you ask? Well, extra credit here. You don't need to do this, but if you're in this menu and now you go up to Proofing, you're going to see Use Autocorrect Options, a button that's right there. And when you click that, you can type in, I can say replace JS with Jim Spellos, and then I can choose Add. I don't want that to happen, otherwise my name's going to appear all over every document, but you get the idea that you can make corrections personalized. What's in here already typically are standard misspellings or misspellings that's picked up based on the spelling checker. So that's what you need to do to actually modify and customize those autocorrect options. Pretty cool, right? So we got both of those taken care of. In Gmail, we went to the settings and we took off the predictive text. And in Word, it was a little bit more sophisticated, going to the file and the options, and then from there being able to find the advanced and taking off the predictive and the autocorrect if you want, even though I tend to keep that on. So that's how you get rid of that, to make sure that the artificial intelligence isn't always speaking for you. And if you're a little less comfortable with all of that functionality, how you can return it back to a baseline that you can use easily.